It's time to live the life you deserve. Trade Genius offers daily stock market alerts sent straight to your mobile device. We do the research on the market, then we text you when we buy and when we sell. We do all the work. You make the profits. It's that easy. Take advantage of our 70% average win today and try us out for $19.99. Sign up today and start living the life you deserve.
How does that happen?
It's funny because Professor Doom was on just before you, and he was saying an almost identical thing. And the UN said on Monday that this is the first and only double moon of Gemini. And so they're going to try to start this massive economic meltdown war before the 21st, which is the summer solstice and the second moon of Gemini. And you said it started in Gemini. Now, Obama is the 44th president. Mike Ramsey, Michelle Obama, was number 44 for Oregon State University football team, male football team, I might add. Obama is the same genetic makeup as the first president of the United States of America non-corporation, which I think James Monroe or something, you'll have to look it up, in 1791, who was one half white, one half Arabian, 1/3 white, and 1/6 black, which is the makeup of the world, supposedly. And so there's great synchronicity in this. And what you're saying is Gemini was the first, and now they're going to try, according to the UN, and if they can't have their way by the 21st, they're going to throw a mighty, huge temper tantrum and try to flip the monopoly board over, killing everybody. And like I said, the Rothschilds, I think, have just surrendered. But...
yeah, 1791. 7 plus 1 is 8. 9 minus 1 is 8. That's 88. Obama was born in the Roman calendar with 88 days remaining in the year. He was born on October 4th in the Roman calendar, and the Julian calendar is on August 4th. So he was born with 88 days remaining in the year. You just said his wife was number 44, so 44 and the 44th president, that's 88. I was born on the 88th day of the year, March 29th. So the synchronicity is strong in this whole situation. I do believe he's like an Antichrist-type spirit. I don't know if he is the Antichrist, but all of this fits together for a reason. And this is all headed toward chaos, which is what they want. This is why there's all this tension in this election. We're riots as we speak, people pepper spray and fights. I've never seen an election with this intensity before, ever.
Well, it almost happened here with Mitt Romney, who was not elected. He was appointed by Kirby Wilbur of the Washington State Republican Party because Mitt Romney got 1% of the vote. Ron Paul got 99% of the vote because we had a guy watch the Seattle ballot box get stuffed on our TV crew. And you had some experience in Oklahoma. So we're not talking with a lightweight here. You were actually a delegate in Oklahoma for the election, correct?
A delegate? Are you talking about Romney?
For Romney versus Ron Paul. Then you watched them fake the election.
Wow. You saw this?
No, okay. I thought I was talking to you earlier. No, here in Seattle, Keith Humehammer was on the TV show I was on Channel 77 and then on Channel 23, and he was an actual Republican delegate. And he watched the Seattle ballot box get stuffed, and he said there was one vote for Mitt Romney in the entire auditorium. And when the election results came out, Kirby Wilbur certified the election, stating that Mitt Romney got the entire voter ballot for Seattle, and Ron Paul got 27.4%. But when the ballot box was stuffed, we know that Mitt Romney only got one vote. So Kirby Wilbur lied, and I'd spoken to him earlier, and I tried to call him, and then Kirby Wilbur was out of town and unavailable.
Yeah,
so they lied on the election.
Yeah, the entire election system is rigged. It's not even worth our time to even invest in it, which is why I bowed out. This is part of getting out of the beast system that I was talking about earlier, not investing your time and energy, because when you invest your time and energy, you're in effect giving consent, and it's all rigged anyway. the whole thing is it's a contest. It is an exercise in duality, which then separates you from your brother, gets you mad at. I used to watch Fox News because I was a Republican for many years, and listen to Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity and all that whole thing. And I woke up one day and I realized that I was mad at half the people that I walked down the street and saw. Immediately I judged them within 3 sentences if they were a Republican or a Democrat. And I began to realize that this was all put in place to separate me from my brother. Okay? Now I don't see things in terms of black and white anymore. I see things in terms of, are you awake or are you not? And and those who are not awake, I don't hate them. I have compassion for them. And so then you have all of a sudden this sense of unity rather than division, you see. So, yeah, the whole election process, it's like a giant horse race, and it's meant to emote feelings of aggression, anger, inequity, inequality. These are all negative feelings and emotions that we don't really need. So, when it comes to these candidates, they're all just jokes. They're just puppets. They're like sock puppets. They're funded by whoever.
They put them out there, and they say what they're supposed to say, and you're supposed to get mad or angry over voting for one versus the other.
Yeah, and all that's originated from the ancient circus of the Roman Empire. The word circus comes from the Roman Empire. Running yourself in a big circle, the games, the Colosseum, and we're all in the background cheering and cheering for violence and cheering to watch these opponents beat each other to death. And this is why I'm kind of opposed to sports in terms of the modern incarnation of sports that we have today, because it emotes all of these feelings of aggression. And so what happens is it's all negative energy. We're not meant to be in competition with one another in a monetary system or in a sports system. That's not the intention of the Creator, for us to have these feelings toward one another. We're supposed to be in unity, in love, versus this society of duality.
I was at the Seahawks Stadium 3 days ago, dropping somebody off at the train station. And here's this multi-billion-dollar Seattle Seahawks Stadium with all kinds of excitement and homeless people sitting outside. They've got their little stolen shopping cart with all their little goods in it. That's their entire life, sitting outside a multi-billion-dollar stadium. So while people are watching football and soccer and whatever else they do in there, there's a homeless guy sitting outside. And they round him up before every football game. Wow. And they take him away. And then the people come and they cheer for one football team or another, while these people who don't have jobs are sitting out there homeless.
Exactly. And you'll notice a troubling trend. You'll notice before every major conflict, Vietnam, Korean War. See, let me back up a minute. What they don't want for us to do is have the ability to think laterally through history. They want us to think in a line or in a silo. There's a movie called The Arrival with, what's his name? Charlie Sheen, that's his name. And he becomes a targeted individual, and he asks the aliens why they targeted him. They said, because you have the ability of increased intelligence, and you have the ability to think laterally. And when you think laterally across the different silos of thought, then you begin to discover the matrix, the web around you that is controlling you. And once you spread that idea, you become dangerous to them. And that's exactly what's going on. When you begin to think laterally, you begin to understand that before every major conflict in the history of this country, that we've had sports teams beating the war drums, increasing the duality of white and black, red and blue. The Patriots, remember 9/11, the Patriots won the Super Bowl. Okay, now that made everyone want to go be a Patriot. We had we had the football star die in the war. Okay, that was supposed to anger all of us to make us all go fight. We also had the Negroes, the blacks, were allowed into sports before some of the major conflicts. Like before the Korean War, we had the first blacks in the NBA. We had the Negro League that was World War II. They allowed that, and that was to get the blacks involved because they knew that they would be the best fighters and be the ones that would be the most hungry to get recognized as equals, right? So they were going to go spill their blood for that.
Okay.
And this goes on throughout history. And so what's happened is this is their form of sacrifice. This is how they control us. And I actually mapped out a giant pentagram over the United States through ley lines. And all those ley lines were all of the coliseums and stadiums of America fell on these pentagram ley lines. You can go on my channel and look up Lines of Death, it's called. It's a playlist. Okay. And it shows how all the coliseums fall on this giant pentagram that covers the United States.
So the pentagrams, the sports are just designed kind of to increase our bloodlust.
Yes, exactly, and our aggression. It's like rats in a cage. Okay, you put you put a piece of food in there that's not enough for either rat to eat, and they're going to attack each other. So they create this system of desire, want, need, shortage. They create a system of shortage, living paycheck to paycheck, competition. Our whole economic society is based on competition, stealing jobs from other people, getting the good job. All the best jobs are the government jobs. That's the system of control. So once you go to the government, you are basically selling out. Right. And you're also promoting their system of control by working for the government. So that's why those are the best paying jobs. Lawyers are also paid a lot because that increases aggression against your brother too, to sue people and demand equality. And doctors are paid a lot because they know eventually that they're going to have a one world medical system. So those doctors have to comply. I came from a pharmaceutical background. I was a pharmaceutical rep for 10 years.
Holy cow, you know all the insides about the payoffs and everything else.
I basically helped take guns away from probably hundreds of people because I was putting people in antidepressants who are now fall under this law where they can have their guns taken away because they're considered, well, this is where it's all headed. It might not be happening at this moment, but this is where it's headed. They're going to look back through your medical history under the new laws. The government can look at your medical history. And if there's any doubts in their mind that you may be a threat to kill yourself or someone else, they will take your guns. And many of the veterans that have come back from the war have had their guns taken away because they've been put on an antidepressant, which is what I used to sell.
Correct. 1 out of 2 combat soldiers overseas, and we're back in Iraq, by the way. We just took Fallujah. We being retired captain, we're back in Fallujah. 1 out of 2 combat soldiers are high on an antidepressant, Prozac or derivative thereof of LSD, which is ergot's disease from weed, which affects serotonin levels and 50 other neurotransmitters. So 1 in 2 veterans will come back after being in combat and have their rights seized because they don't know that their name's written in small letters. They think it's written in capital letters. And when they say, do you understand? They say yes, implicating them in understanding British or standing under British common law. Well, I neither understand nor stand under anything. I comprehend fully. But I neither stand them nor understand their laws. But you're selling pharmaceuticals, and then they come back to the VA, and the first thing they do is give them an antidepressant. Right,
and they're required by law, well, they're required in order to get their benefits to take this antidepressant, and then the government turns around and seizes their weapons. And this has happened already, and it's going to happen on a wider scale. And, I give up a 6-figure income to do what I do now, to make hundreds of dollars a month versus thousands of dollars a month.
I fully understand what you're saying. For 2.5 years, I did public television in Seattle for free. For a couple of years, I did print because I was burned out. Producers smoke dope. I don't mind people smoking dope, But for God's sakes, if you're on a television station and you're the producer, don't smoke. You got to have a clear head, man. And then I did YouTube, and then they wouldn't let me do it, so I had to do it under America's third party, Dave Sponheim, who's a real great guy, and he posted my videos for 3 weeks, and he makes the money off them. And God bless him, he's trying his best. And then finally, a year ago, they let me post. And I was crazy, and someone from the intelligence community came to me a month ago, and all of a sudden, I stopped getting hits. So I went back to him and says, what is going on? He says, oh, sorry, we'll let you get subscribers now.
Yep, everything's controlled.
It's control. And he says, oh, well, it turns out you're a nice guy, so we're going to let you get subscribers. I said, well, thank you. Because if you don't, I'm going to shut up. Oh, no, we don't want that. So I understand what they're doing to you personally. Like I said, Stephen Greer talks about it, and that little piggy-wiggy, feed a pig a donut. I mean, of all the videos for them to attack, this is how petty Lucifer is. He'll attack a video that says, feed a pig a donut. This is how perverted he is. A silly little video feeding a pig a donut. You think, it's off the radar, right?
Yeah, that's part of CERN. That's part of the mechanism of control. CERN is invented the World Wide Web. And so do you think that all this computing power that they have is not being utilized as a method of control? And I have proof of this. Back when my channel was itty-bitty, I was approached by Hollywood to try to sell out. And I said, why are you approaching me? I've got 5,000 subscribers. And the guy said, and he had credentials, he had an IMDb page and everything, and he had a YouTube channel, successful. He did red carpet interviews and it was with Hollywood and several of the top movie stars, and he wanted to take Enter the Stars to 1 billion people, was the promise that he made to me. And at the time I had considered the offer because I didn't understand what was going on. And he was actually, he said he worked for the light side. He said there's a light side and a dark side in Hollywood. And at that time, I almost believed him, and I let time go by. I listened to the Holy Spirit, and I didn't go with him, and that's why my channel stuck at 35,000 subscribers, because I didn't take the offer. And that's what's going on. So, like, when you say Lucifer's petty, you're absolutely right. We take the narrow road. We take the road where we don't get recognition or fame, but that's probably where we want to be anyway, because then we don't sell out. We don't, we're true to the game. In other words, we do what's right versus what's going to get us recognized or popular, you see.
Well, you're absolutely right. I remember I applied for Yale, to Yale University, and they wanted me to join. Of course, we all know what's at Yale. And I said no, and I've been offered 4 or 5 times back into the group. And I said, you don't understand. I can't sell what belongs to God. It's not mine to sell. My soul belongs to God. You don't understand. I can't sell it. You can do anything you want to me. You can ship me. You can put a new arm on me. You can put my brain in a computer. You can try to do anything you want. But nothing on heaven and earth can separate me from the living God and their Son Yeshua. You can put 35 Barrett chips in my brain. You can't separate me from God.
Right.
All this stuff about the Barrett chip being the chip of God, or Satan, it's your relationship with God. They can, if I lose an arm in an auto accident, and they give me a new arm, and there's 5 or 6 Barrett chips in there, so I'm chipped up the yin-yang. Does that separate you from God?
Well, this is the temple. This is the consciousness. So that's what the devil is trying to penetrate, our consciousness. This is the goal, is to basically digitize our consciousness into ones and zeros and bits and bytes, and have us all in like comatose states, like in the movie The Matrix, as he draws our blood out of our system, so that because these individuals live off of blood. It's written in the Bible, thou shalt not ingest or eat the living blood, the blood with the life in it. This is the covenant God made with Noah, not to eat the blood with the life in it, which is what vampires do. And he forbade the Israelites also to eat blood because this was a common practice of the serpent seed bloodline, which was the Canaanites. This is why the Israelites were in battle with the Canaanites throughout history when they were in the wilderness for 40 days or 40 years after the Exodus. They were in battle with the Canaanite serpent bloodline because the serpent bloodline was trying to wipe out the bloodline of Jesus to come. Jesus came out of the line.
We're coming to the end. It's about 1:53, and what happened with Professor Doom is we were right in the middle of a conversation and went blank. So I want to wind up with Enter the Stars. Tell us how to get to your channel again. Enter the STARZ, correct?
5T4RZ.
Okay, I didn't hear that. You're going to have to say that slowly.
Oh, okay, no problem. It's 5T4RZ. Enter the Stars.
5T4RZ.
Yes.
Okay. And it's Casey Brown. You can always type in Casey Brown on YouTube, and there you are.
Oh,
right.
Okay, okay, great. Yeah, Casey Brown.
Well, it's easier to get to your channel, and this is listener-sponsored, so they rely on the $7 donations that you. A lot of people are watching this on television, and so they rely on this. I don't want to cut you off like what happened with Professor Doom, because I'm somewhat unfamiliar with the radio program, and so I didn't realize they were going to cut him off, and I feel really bad. Because he was right in the middle of something, and it almost sounds like everybody understands that we're all being controlled by something that does not have our best interest at heart. And we better come together and wake up and start crawling out of this matrix very quickly, because time is short. Do you think God will return and put an end to these nutcases?
Yes. I mean, there's going to come a point where there'll be no flesh left, or almost no flesh left. This is in the Bible. It's prophesied. And when that happens, when basically the serpent tries to enter the temple, like we just talked about, that's when God's going to intervene, and that'll be coming soon. I believe we're in the age of Aquarius now, just to give everybody hope. We're in the age of Aquarius, which Jesus said to his disciples, go find the man carrying the water jug. One of the disciples asked him, where do we go to prepare for the Passover? In other words, to pass over from the Pisces Earth Age into the Aquarius Earth Age. And he said, go find the man carrying the water jug, which is exactly the symbol used for the age of Pisces, a man carrying a water jug. And Jesus' ministry was all about baptism, which is water. He walked on water. He turned water into wine. He was a fisher of men and threw the net to the right side of the boat and captured fish. So everything was pointing forward to water, which is Aquarius, which is where we're at now. So it's going to be any day of the year.
So there, I believe after what the UN said, they're going to try to start this economic meltdown war between the two moons of Gemini. And then Cancer comes, I think the 20th, 21st, somewhere in there is the end of the Gemini full moon, and the starting of Cancer, which is the time of war, destruction, and all that. And if they don't get their way, it's just going to be they're going to start stomping their feet and doing everything they can, destruction, because they feel, the fallen angels feel that they will learn love by creating hate. They will understand peace by creating war. This was a quote from one of their conferences, in fact. You have to understand your enemy. Operations Order 1-1. Know your enemy, know your friends. So you have to understand how the enemy thinks in order to counter him, right? So this is how he's thinking. And the matrix he's creating then is to basically confuse us, wipe us out, and then put us in pods and drink our living blood.
Yes.
Oh, this is going to be a fun year.
Yeah. And the prince was Gemini. He was the sacrifice. The prince died under the queen on her birthday. He died on the 111th day of the year. 9/11 has 111 days remaining in the year. He was the 9/11 sacrifice.
So there is great synchronicity with numbers. It seems like everywhere I turn, there was a group of Muslims we found that were going to blow up a plane leaving Paris, and there was a thing about 2 years ago where they hijacked a van, we found the number of the jet that they were going to try to blow up because of the other two jets that had blown up. We put the it's all based on numbers and numerical stuff.
Yeah.
And absolutely. So Lucifer is really big on this number thing.
Yes. Like the fact that all of the 3 missing flights from 2014 added together, the flight numbers add up to 8,888. And the fact that...
That's how we found the flight number leaving Paris, 888. That's why they, what does it mean, that was 8. Yeah, that's exactly. Pat Shoup described this to me. Her husband, Mike, is into numbers. You hit the nail. That's how she called me, and she said, put this out. And she had the flight number of the plane they were going to come into New York and New York with, or D.C., I forget. It's been 2 years. You're right. When you added that up, that was the exact flight number. To do so many stories, you forget these things.
Oh yeah, that's the lateral thinking. Your brain, though, becomes efficient at it, and you begin to do it really well. And that's when the truth is revealed, when you begin to think across the different silos. Yeah, and then the fact that, of course, that Flight 370, 804 days later, after Flight 370 went missing, Flight 804 went missing 804 days later. I mean, that's no accident.
Oh, there's music. Hey, I want to thank you for being on. This is listener supported, and I think it's the end of the radio program.
This is your brain. This is your brain on cable. Stop paying for cable today.
Now there's a way. Catch all live sporting events, movies, and TV shows on demand in high definition. Tiger Stream. Stream like a tiger.